Welcome to this deep dive into the business of data. Today we're opening up the hood on something that touches almost every aspect of our digital lives.
Yeah, even if you never actually see it happening.
Right, exactly. We are looking at the Q3 2026 earnings report and the conference call transcript from NetApp, which is this massive enterprise data management and storage company.
It is great to be here. And I know on the surface, a topic like enterprise storage and financial guidance might sound a bit dry.
A little bit, yeah.
But when you really look at the numbers and the strategy discussed in this report, it is incredibly revealing. It is essentially a barometer for the entire tech sector.
And that is exactly the mission of today's deep dive. We are taking this dense, Wall Street-facing earnings report and translating it.
Decoding it, really.
Decoding it, exactly. We want to reveal what it actually tells us about the hidden engines powering the modern digital economy. Because every new app, every generative AI model, every massive cloud migration.
They all rely on the exact infrastructure we are going to discuss today.
Precisely. You cannot have the flashy front-end software without the heavy-duty plumbing underneath. And I want to speak directly to you, the listener, for a second. Whether you are an IT professional making infrastructure decisions, or an investor trying to read the tea leaves of a volatile tech market, or just someone insanely curious about how the internet actually works.
Which is a lot of people these days.
Right. Understanding this specific quarter from NetApp offers a brilliant high-resolution snapshot of the world right now. So to start us off, what is the high-level financial picture looking like for NetApp in Q3?
The top-line financials for their third quarter of fiscal year 2026 are they're incredibly strong. They hit $1.71 billion in revenue.
Wow.
Yeah, that is up 4% year over year, or actually 6% if you exclude their divested spot business. But what really caught the market's attention was the profitability.
Bottom line.
Right. They achieved a record non-GAAP earnings per share of $2.12, which comfortably beat Wall Street expectations. And they also hit a massive milestone.
What was that?
Their all-flash array revenue hit a record $1.0 billion for the quarter.
Wait, $1 billion in a single quarter?
Right.
Just for all-flash arrays?
Just for the all-flash segment.
That is wild. Before we get into what that actually means for the tech world, let me stop you on a quick financial term.
Sure.
You mentioned non-GAAP earnings per share. For those of us who don't spend our days staring at income statements, what does non-GAAP actually mean in this context?
Great question. So GAAP stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. It's the standard rule book.
Right.
When a company reports non-GAAP numbers, they are essentially stripping out the noise. Things like one-time restructuring charges or stock-based compensation.
Oh, okay. So it gives a clearer picture.
Exactly. It allows investors to see how the actual day-to-day operational engine of the business is running without the accounting anomalies. And in NetApp's case, that operational engine is running very hot.
Because of that billion-dollar flash number.
Yes. That $1 billion mark for all flash arrays translates to an annualized run rate of over $4.2 billion just for that specific high-performance storage segment.
Which is massive.
It shows a massive appetite in the market right now for high-density, incredibly fast data storage.
But numbers on a spreadsheet only tell part of the story.
Right.
To make this physical and real, I want to look at a specific real-world application they highlighted on the earnings call. CEO George Kurian opened his remarks by talking about Super Bowl LX.
Down at Levi Stadium.
Exactly. He explained how NetApp essentially turned the stadium into an interactive data center.
Which isn't how we usually think of a football game.
Not at all. We are talking about managing billions of data points flawlessly in what he called a no-fail environment.
And that no-fail concept is so critical here. Let's think about what actually happens inside a modern stadium during a Super Bowl.
It's chaos.
Complete digital chaos. It is not just about broadcasting a television signal anymore. You have high-definition 4K video boards running instant replays constantly. You have biometric security systems scanning faces at the gates. Thousands of point-of-sale systems tracking hot dog and beer inventory in real time.
All while tens of thousands of fans are uploading videos to social media from their seats.
Exactly, at the exact same time.
And if there's a latency issue, if the network stutters for even a second, the concession stands freeze.
The security gates lock up.
And the whole operation just grinds to a halt on the biggest sporting day of the year.
Which is why the infrastructure cannot just be big. It has to be perfectly orchestrated. If we connect this to the bigger picture, that Super Bowl example perfectly illustrates the stakes for modern enterprises across the board.
How so?
Well, these financial records we just talked about aren't simply a company selling more metal boxes to put in a server room. They reflect a broader, urgent need across every industry to modernize. Data is no longer just being archived in a basement somewhere.
Right. It's active.
It is being actively used in real time for mission-critical operations.
And what really stood out to me is how NetApp is managing that massive influx of demand internally. Because they didn't just grow revenue, they reported a record operating margin of 31.1%.
That level of operational discipline is exactly what allows a company to capitalize on these macro trends.
Because growth isn't everything.
Exactly. Growth is great, but if your costs spiral out of control while you are trying to capture that growth, the business suffers. Maintaining a 31.1% operating margin shows they are scaling their operations highly efficiently.
Okay, let's unpack this AI momentum. Because obviously you cannot have an earnings call in 2026 without talking about artificial intelligence.
It's mandatory at this point.
It really is. NetApp is clearly riding that wave, but they are doing it in a very specific way.
They are, and the numbers are shifting rapidly. In the third quarter alone, they had around 300 customers select NetApp to be the primary data foundation for their AI innovations.
That's a huge jump.
It is, and management noted a really interesting split in how those customers are actually using the tech.
What was this split?
About 40% of their AI business mix was in production training or inferencing, meaning the AI is actively running and making decisions,
Okay.
while the other 60% was in data preparation and building data lake models.
Interesting. I noticed they launched a specific new product to capture this demand, something called AFX.
Yes.
They described it as a disaggregated storage system purpose-built for AI. And they had a massive win right out of the gate with a large Asian neocloud provider.
Who chose ASX specifically for model training?
Right. But I have to ask, what exactly does disaggregated storage mean? Why wouldn't a company just buy standard servers?
It sounds like a lot of jargon, but it is a great question, and it is fundamental to how AI scales. Disaggregated storage basically means uncoupling the data storage capacity from the computing power.
Uncoupling them. Okay.
Think of traditional servers like a fast food combo meal.
I like where this is going.
You get the burger, the fries, and the drink all bundled together in one package.
Right.
But if you are really hungry and you just want more fries, you still have to buy another entire combo meal. Burger, drink, and all.
Which is a waste of money if you don't need the burger.
Exactly. In the AI world, companies often need to massively expand their data storage just to feed these enormous models, but they might not need to buy expensive new processors at the exact same time.
So they aren't forced to buy unnecessary compute power just to get more storage space.
Precisely. Disaggregated storage allows them to scale up just their data capacity independently. They just buy the fries.
That makes total sense for a massive cloud provider trying to keep costs down. The report also mentioned this Asian neocloud chose AFX for its container integration.
Right. Think of container integration like shipping containers in global trade.
Okay.
Before, standardized shipping containers loading a cargo ship was a chaotic custom job for every single item. Software containers do the same thing for code. They package an application and all its dependencies into one standard box.
So it can run smoothly anywhere.
Anywhere. On a laptop, in a private data center, or on a public cloud. NetApp systems natively understand and manage these digital shipping containers, which is critical for developers building fast-moving AI applications.
And alongside the hardware, they talked extensively about software, specifically AID, the AI data engine, which goes into general availability in Q4. How does that fit into the puzzle?
What's fascinating here is that the biggest bottleneck in AI right now isn't necessarily compute power.
It's not.
Everyone focuses on getting enough GPUs, but the real bottleneck is the data itself. An AI model is essentially useless without organized, secure, and easily digestible data. Imagine a massive global corporation with decades of PDFs, spreadsheets, and emails scattered across thousands of different servers and clouds.
A complete digital hoarding situation.
Exactly. It is a chaotic mess.
So how does AID actually fix that mess?
It simplifies the workflow by providing integrated data discovery. It literally scans the enterprise to find where the useful data lives. Then, crucially, it offers real-time vectorization.
Vectorization.
Meaning
What exactly?
It means it translates all those raw spreadsheets and text documents into a mathematical format, vectors that generative AI models can instantly understand and process.
Oh, wow.
It bridges the gap between old, unstructured corporate data and modern AI brains.
But wait, making all that corporate data instantly readable and accessible for AI sounds like a massive security nightmare.
It definitely can be.
Right, because if it's that easy for an internal AI to read a decade's worth of financial records, isn't it also incredibly easy for a hacker to steal it? Or for sensitive info to accidentally get leaked into a public model?
That is exactly the right concern, and it is why AID includes policy-driven guardrails. You can set strict rules.
Like what?
Rules that say, for example, customer social security numbers can never be vectorized or fed into an external AI model.
Okay, that's a relief.
But you hit on a much larger theme there regarding security. The ease of access that AI requires is fundamentally colliding with the threat of ransomware.
And that collision is completely reshaping the infrastructure market. The earnings call highlighted some staggering numbers around their cloud and subscription services.
Keystone.
Yes, Keystone, which is their storage as a service offering. It grew approximately 65% year over year.
65%.
In a single year. In enterprise hardware, where companies map out IT budgets years in advance, how is a shift that massive even happening?
That kind of hypergrowth in an enterprise service is incredibly rare. It points to a total paradigm shift in how companies view infrastructure.
They want flexibility.
Exactly. They want the financial flexibility of the cloud, paying only for what they consume, even for the storage systems sitting physically inside their own buildings.
And there was an anecdote on the call about an insurance technology company that illustrates this perfectly. They were planning a multi-year migration to the cloud, and they brought in NetApp Keystone specifically to eliminate a competitor's storage footprint.
The competitor just couldn't offer a seamless, financially flexible path to the cloud.
Right. But as you mentioned, it is not just about financial flexibility. It is about boardroom-level survival. Ransomware is driving these choices.
We are seeing a shift where data infrastructure is no longer viewed merely as an IT expense. It is being actively categorized as a cybersecurity defense mechanism. Storing data is almost secondary to protecting it.
Corinne shared two specific wins that prove that point. First, a European financial services company needed to refresh its data center for strict regulatory compliance.
And they didn't just look for the cheapest storage.
No, they bought NetApp all-flash systems, replacing multiple competitors, specifically because of the built-in anti-ransomware services. Then there was a retailer who actually suffered a live ransomware attack.
A light hack.
Yeah. After the dust settled, they completely ripped out a competitor's infrastructure and moved on to AWS FSx for NetApp on tap.
And the specific reason they moved was for something called immutable volume copies, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What makes an immutable copy so critical for a company recovering from a hack?
Think of an immutable volume copy like pouring digital concrete over your backup data.
Digital concrete. I love that visual.
Once the data is written and the immutable policy is set that data cannot be altered by anyone.
It's locked.
It cannot be encrypted by ransomware, it cannot be deleted, not even by an administrator with top-level passwords.
Wow.
And certainly not by a hacker's script. So if a company gets breached and their primary systems are locked down...
They don't have to pay the ransom.
Exactly. They can simply wipe the infected systems and restore instantly from that concrete backup. It takes away the hacker's leverage completely.
That is incredibly powerful. And that retailer example highlights another massive advantage NetApp has. Their integration with the major cloud providers.
The hyperscalers.
Right. They have what they call first-party relationships with Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure.
And that strategy is paying off tremendously on the financial side. Their public cloud gross margins hit 85.1% this quarter.
85.1%.
It is remarkable for a company with roots in hardware. It shows how lucrative that software-driven cloud integration is once it is deployed.
So practically speaking, let's talk about how that integration actually works. Because they introduced new capabilities enabling Amazon S3 access points for their AWS service.
Right.
If I am a global enterprise and I have petabytes of customer data sitting on a NetApp system, and I want to run Amazon's new highly advanced AI analytics tools on it, how does that happen? Am I paying massive fees to upload all that data to Amazon first?
Historically, yes, that was the painful reality of the cloud. You had to move or copy mountains of data into an Amazon S3 bucket just to use Amazon's tool.
Which takes weeks.
Weeks. Moving petabytes of data across networks is painfully slow. It is incredibly expensive in egress fees.
Right, because they charge you to move data out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it creates massive security vulnerabilities because you now have copies of sensitive data floating around everywhere.
A logistical nightmare.
Completely. But with these new S3 access points, that problem evaporates.
How?
Customers can run AWS AI and analytics services directly on their NetApp data exactly where it sits.
Oh, I see. They essentially bring the AI to the data.
Rather than hauling the data to the AI, it saves massive amounts of time and money and drastically reduces the security risk.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because as rosy and profitable as the AI and cloud picture looks, when you listen to the Q&A portion of the earnings call, the tone shifts a bit.
It definitely gets a bit more grounded in reality.
The company is navigating severe headwinds. Specifically, they are dealing with unprecedented inflation in memory and NAND prices.
Yes, the raw materials required to build these incredibly fast storage arrays are experiencing a massive global supply chain shock.
For those who might not know what exactly is NAND.
NAND is the specific type of flash memory chip that retains data even when the power is turned off.
Oh, like in a thumb drive.
Exactly. It is the core component of modern smartphones, laptops, and enterprise storage.
Why are those prices spiking so violently right now?
It is a perfect storm. The massive global boom in AI is sucking up huge amounts of silicon fabrication capacity. Add to that, geopolitical tensions affecting supply chains and memory manufacturers are struggling to keep up with demand.
So the prices skyrocket.
Consequently, the spot prices for NAND chips are going through the roof.
And you can see the immediate damage of that on NetApp's income statement. The CFO, Wissam Jabre, was very transparent about the hit they took.
He was.
He pointed out that their hybrid cloud product gross margins dropped 4.2 percentage points sequentially, landing at 55.3%.
That is a significant margin compression for a single quarter.
Think about that 4.2% drop, not just as a number on a spreadsheet, but as the physical cost of doing business right now. NetApp literally had to send buyers out into the open market, paying heavily inflated spot prices for memory chips, just to get enough physical parts to build the servers their customers were begging for.
It is fascinating to watch how a sophisticated hardware vendor defends against that kind of sudden market shock.
Because they have to do something.
Right. When component costs spike that aggressively, you have to protect your profitability, but you also cannot just hike prices so high that you destroy customer demand.
So how do they handle it?
NetApp outlined a really compelling, multi-pronged defense strategy. First, they simply raised list prices at the start of the quarter to pass some of that cost along.
Makes sense.
And they bluntly stated on the call that they will do it again if the market requires it. Second, they are leveraging their massive global scale across multiple suppliers to secure inventory and negotiate the best possible component costs. They aren't reliant on just one chipmaker.
But the third part of their defense seems the most strategic. Because NetApp isn't purely an all-flash company, they have a broader portfolio to lean on.
Right.
They specifically mention pivoting customers toward their hybrid flash arrays, or HFAs. How does an HFA help a customer dealing with inflation?
A hybrid flash array mixes high-speed flash memory with cheaper, high-capacity traditional spinning hard drives.
Okay.
The system software intelligently keeps the most frequently accessed data on the fast flash and moves the older, colder data to the cheap drives.
So it's a compromise.
Exactly. When pure flash memory becomes prohibitively expensive, an all-flash system might completely bust a customer's IT budget. NetApp can pivot and offer the hybrid system. It still offers excellent performance, but at a much more budget-friendly price point.
CEO George Kurian had a brilliant quote about this exact dynamic during the Q&A. He told analysts, customers budget in dollars, not in systems.
I love that framing. It perfectly captures the gritty reality of enterprise IT.
It really does. If the global memory market squeezes the price of an all-flash system up by 20%, the IT director doesn't magically get 20% more budget from the board.
No, they definitely do not.
They have a fixed amount of dollars and they have to find a different solution that fits.
And that is the core philosophy behind building a flexible product portfolio. It acts as a release valve for pricing pressure.
So they never have to turn a customer away.
Exactly. Whether a customer needs top-tier all-flash for a bleeding-edge AI project, or a hybrid system to stretch their shrinking dollars, or even a complete shift to an operational expense model using Keystone Cloud services, NetApp has an answer. It is a highly pragmatic approach to navigating a volatile commodity market.
So what does this all mean? We have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
We started with incredibly strong top-line revenue of $1.71 billion
Yeah.
and record earnings driven by that explosive billion-dollar growth in all-flash arrays. We saw how NetApp is rapidly becoming the foundational data layer for hundreds of enterprise AI deployments.
Yeah.
But we also looked at the physical reality of the business.
Battling global supply chain inflation.
Right. Paying elevated prices for NAND chips and actively managing customer budgets with hybrid solutions.
If I were to synthesize this entire quarter, I think it proves that in the AI era, the unglamorous work is just as critical, if not more so, than the flashy headlines.
I completely agree.
We all marvel at the outputs of new generative AI models, but those models are starving for massive amounts of data. The unglamorous work of discovering that data, securing it against sophisticated ransomware, providing the financial flexibility to afford the storage, and seamlessly piping it into public clouds.
That is a concrete foundation.
Yes, that is the concrete foundation the entire AI revolution rests upon. NetApp's financial performance strongly suggests that global enterprises are waking up to this reality and opening their wallets to build that foundation.
It really is the plumbing of the future. You can design the most beautiful, intelligent house in the world, but if the pipes are broken and the water doesn't flow, the house is useless.
This raises an important question, though, and it is one that builds on a very subtle point George Kurian made toward the end of the call.
Oh, what is that?
An analyst asked him about the rise of AI agents. These are AI systems that don't just sit there and answer our questions, but actively and autonomously take actions on our behalf.
Like an AI booking a flight for you or negotiating a vendor contract completely autonomously.
Exactly. Kurian noted that for these agents to function in the enterprise, they require absolute, perfect, real-time data guardrails, so they don't make catastrophic company-ending mistakes.
That makes sense.
Think about the implications of that. If autonomous AI agents eventually become the primary consumers of the world's data, making billions of micro-decisions every second without human intervention, who holds the real power?
Oh, wow.
Will the next trillion-dollar tech titans be the companies building the AI models themselves? Or will they be the companies quietly controlling, securing, and piping the massive, pristine data lakes those models desperately need to survive?
That is an incredible thought to leave on. The companies holding the keys to the data might actually end up holding the keys to the entire AI economy. Thank you so much for exploring that with me.
It was a pleasure.
And a huge thank you to you, our listener, for joining us on this deep dive into the NetApp Q3 2026 earnings. We hope you walk away with a much clearer picture of the hidden infrastructure powering our world. Until next time.